Thanks everybody for coming together today. Tomorrow, 1,000 members of our community are going to come together at a collaborative summit called Cleveland Rising. I'm pleased to be part of the summit because it's forward-looking and because it's inclusive. Instead of a few voices speaking and making decisions behind closed doors, here we're going to have 1,000 people from all segments of the community working together to form a vision for Cleveland's future. This inclusiveness is key. It's critically important. We cannot move forward as a region if we don't collectively address the problems that we face head on. And if we don't take different perspectives into consideration, we will not succeed. We need to acknowledge that there are still many people without jobs, without adequate education, without real paths forward. But I believe, and so do the Cleveland Rising Summit organizers and all of the people here today, we all believe that effective economic development is only possible if we make sure no one is left behind. In order for everyone to thrive, we need everyone at the table. And that's what Cleveland Rising Summit is all about. I'd like to introduce Norm Edwards, who's been one of the lead voices in our community, making sure that there are opportunities available for everyone. Mr. Edwards, who's joined by the Cleveland Clergy Coalition here today, Reverend Cavanis, Reverend Phillips, and others. They have been consistent in their fight for across-the-board economic inclusion. I consider them real leaders and great voices for those who have consistently been left out. So, Mr. Edwards, please come on up.
Thank you, County Executive. Good afternoon. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. I'd like to thank Cuyahoga County Executive Armand Budish, who has worked with us to make some significant changes with diversity and inclusion throughout Cuyahoga County. I applaud him. Also, Cleveland City Council President Kevin Kelly, working together along with the Cleveland Clergy Coalition, Reverend Cavanis and Reverend Phillips. We've changed the landscape here within the city of Cleveland on a variety of different avenues, not just construction. We are the black contractors, but we've been involved with a little bit of everything throughout the city of Cleveland. We felt neglected from this summit, and we felt it was a blow in our stomachs and in our hearts for the city to move forward and for us not to be included. I've never met Mr. Gilbert until today. We've had several great conversations on the phone about moving forward. And then the county executive called me, and we've had several conversations about moving forward. And we were set to protest and demonstrate, because that's what we do. We get out there, and our voices must be heard in order for changes to be made in this great city and this great county. I appreciate us coming together. We have canceled the protest. We have assurances that we will be included, and if it were not for the friendship and the relationship that I have with the county executive, we would not be here today. We would not have canceled. It was due to that conversation with the county executive, Armand Budish, and also talking to the great Reverend Cavanis and Reverend Phillips, and also to Cleveland City Council President Kelly, who has stood right there by our sides on everything that we've tried to do with diversity and inclusion. He has not held back, neither one, him or the county executive, Reverend Cavanis. If we are not involved, and this is how I felt, how can we get to the next level? We put 1,000 young men and women to work this year, working with the Cleveland Employers Association, CEA, and also the Cleveland Building Trades. And we've taken young men and women from the inner city and got them their GEDs got them driver's licenses, and they're making $20 to $25 an hour, okay? Change their lives, okay? So we've done some great things. We've also placed engineers who went to college. You say for blacks and minorities to go to college and get a degree. We put 100 engineers to work this year, not just in the city of Cleveland, but throughout the state of Ohio. They graduated, they could not find jobs. Civil engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers. Tough degrees to get, tough degrees to pay for, and still no direction for them to find employment. We help people to get over that hump, whatever it is, a teacher, a fireman, a policeman, whatever you want to do, we can help you get there. But it must be collectively. I relate to the county executive, I relate to Reverend Cavanis, I relate to Reverend Phillips, I relate to the mayor, I relate to Kevin Kelly, the council president. And whenever I have a problem, we collectively do exactly what we did over the weekend. We work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, solving problems. Moving forward, we must be at the table. Not necessarily me. If the county executive is there, I'm covered, because I know he has my back. But for neither one of us to be there, there's a problem. Thank you.
I'm Pastor Aaron Phillips. I'm the pastor of Sure House Baptist Church, and I'm the executive director of the Cleveland Clergy Coalition. I'm here with my mentor and my leader, Reverend Dr. E.T. Cavanis. And the Cleveland Clergy Coalition represents the people. These are the people that we are always concerned about. These are the people who was ignored. These are the people that didn't know anything about a summit. These are the people that continue to get left out and voiceless. That's why the Cleveland Clergy Coalition exists. We were prepared to go and protest these same very people with about 50 others on Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. That's how committed we are to transformation in our community and our city. We're committed to this because it's the right thing to do, and we're about what's in the best interest of our community. We have been working and existing for quite some time now, working with our county executive, Mr. Armin Budish, over the years that he's been here, and with our president, Kevin Kelly of City Council. Even if those two folks alone, I saw our county prosecutor was here, if those folks would have been contacted, they would have immediately said, if you want to get to the African American communities, particularly in the faith community, you should contact Dr. Cavanis. And Dr. Cavanis would have called me, and the people would have been informed. That failed to happen. However, we are the Cleveland Clergy Coalition, and we met with Mr. Graves and Brother Gilbert today, just briefly there, and they apologized, and we believe in Jesus and forgiveness. Amen. I said something right there. Amen. I said we believe in Jesus and forgiveness. So we have forgiven, because the first thing to start a relationship, Mr. Graves said starts with trust. Well, the first thing starts with acknowledging that we exist and that you made a mistake. It was y'all this time, it may be me next time. It is not me now, because we the people are here. But we forgive you, and we plan on having some representatives at the summit. We'll be there, and we want to be a part of the process, because we want to be inside making the food, because we don't want to be on the menu. Thank you.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm Don Graves. I'm the head of corporate responsibility and community relations at KeyBank. I'm also one of the co-chairs for the Cleveland Rising Summit. Couldn't be happier to be here today at the eve of what I think will be 3 days of really great conversations with folks from all walks of life, from all parts of this community. And I really want to thank the Clergy Coalition. I want to thank Dr. Edwards and the Center on Economic Inclusion for the great work that they're doing around our community, the great work that they're doing to make sure that folks are not forgotten in all parts of our community. The good conversations that we've been having over the last several days are just an extension of conversations that we've been trying to do over the last few months. We are an all-volunteer organizing effort behind the summit. And the real reason for us to have this summit in the first place was because we know, as does the Clergy Coalition, that too many in this community have been left behind over years and years. And too often, the folks who are making decisions in this community do it without having folks who actually are living in the community at the table and working with them to not just make decisions, but also to be there to execute on those decisions. So for those that feel that they haven't been excluded, we, the organizing group, apologizes because the whole point of this was to build trust, to build the type of trust that's been too often lacking in this community. You may have been asking, well, what does the Cleveland Rising Summit look like? Who are the actual attendees? It's more than 900 folks from all across our community. 25% of the attendees that have registered are African American, 5% are Latino. It's what we think is getting to be a really diverse mix of people, of background, and that's the whole point of the conversation today, is to make sure that every voice is brought to the table and has that opportunity moving forward. Too often in Cleveland, in greater Cleveland, folks have hopes and dreams, but because they lack opportunity, they can't turn those hopes and dreams into lives of dignity. And that's what this is all about, is making sure that people in this community can live lives of dignity. So, as you've heard, this is just the beginning. We're going to have continued conversations coming out of the Cleveland Rising Summit where we engage folks from around the community, where we have opportunities for more people to give their views, give their input, and be a part of the process. That's why I couldn't be happier that County Executive Armin Budish, Council President Kevin Kelly have been willing to be partners in this and have said this is something that matters for the entire Cleveland community. It's why I'm so happy that Mayor Jackson has been part of our conversations, because if we are able to move forward, it has to be all of us moving forward together. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for being a part of the Cleveland Rising Summit, and let's keep this momentum going forward. Thanks, Alderman.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Kelly. I'm the president of Cleveland City Council, and I'm very pleased to be here today. I don't know exactly what's going to be discussed tomorrow in this three-day summit, but I suspect that it's going to that people are going to bring up poverty, equality, those terms that we're using more of. That's why it's critical that we have the Cleveland Clergy Coalition and the Black Contractors Association represented at the highest level of this. When there's a lot of people, there's a lot of conversations that are happening, but these two groups are about more than conversation. I was at an event Thursday night, and I met several young people that through the Cleveland Clergy Coalition were in apprenticeships. They're on a path to a sustainable livelihood, a sustainable job, a pathway out of poverty. Norm probably does not have time, Mr. Edwards does not have time to go over all the numbers in terms of how many people were employed through the Black Contractors Association, how many people were lifted out of poverty, how many people could put food on the table, how many people can put their kids to school because of the work of Norm Edwards. So if you take these two groups collectively, this represents those things that people talk a lot about. This represents equality. This represents lifting people out of poverty. So Pastor Phillips has forgiven, so we can all move forward. I'm glad we can move forward, but really when we think about what does this community need to go moving forward, if we talk about inclusion, we have to do it. We have to act upon it. We have to reach out to the people that are already engaged in the work that is going to be discussed at these. So, when I first heard of this, that the Black Contractors Association, Cleveland Clergy Coalition was not on the very front end of this, it was very disappointing. And for all the work that you've done in the community, I was going to stand with you. So I'm happy that we've resolved this, and I'm looking forward to something productive coming out of that with everybody in this room together. So thank you. And before we leave, County Executive Armin Budish has an announcement to make on behalf of the county and the city of Cleveland.
So the city and the county together are naming tomorrow Economic Inclusion Day in honor of the summit, that's the Cleveland Rising Summit. We want to make sure, and these groups that are here today, They don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk, they get things done. That's what's been so impressive to us, is they put people to work, they get people involved, they reach out to the community. Tomorrow is one very important day, but it's only one day, and then the next 1.5 days for the summit. But this is an ongoing, continuing effort. I know my friend Dave Gilbert and you heard from Don Graves. They and the entire team they are committed to making this a regular activity. We want people involved. We want to improve this community. We want to improve the economic inclusion, not just one day, not just 1 week, but all year round. So thank you all very much, and thanks for your good work.